Howdy folks, today we will be discussing the Kershaw Leek. So, most of you will probably recognize this knife, and I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Storytime with Iron Wings. So, as I've stated in previous episodes, excluding my Victorinox Solo, this is more of a personal explanation, exploration, and me saying why these are part of my untouchables, the knives that I'll never get rid of or never sell if I can help it. And this one meets that criteria just because it was kind of a neat story behind it. This story takes place up in Northern California where I was attending college, and now that I think about it, most of my Iron Wings story time videos kind of go back to that area. So, there was a little store I used to go to, shout out to Stick to Your Guns, in Arcata, California. Little hole-in-the-wall shop, but they always have some of the most unique and cool firearms you'll ever find, some of the most unique items. I actually managed to find a Parker Brothers 12-gauge double-barrel shotgun made in 1903 for $200 from them. And it's in fantastic condition with the exception of the external finish, but to me that just doesn't really matter because I like the look of it, the more worn, well-used look. So, at Stick to Your Guns, I was a regular there. Once or twice a month I'd stop in, and I'd wind up picking up another box or two of 8mm Mauser because I had picked up a M48 Yugo Mauser rifle for $200 from a relative, and the gun shops down in my area where I was when I was out of college cost about $30 to $40 as opposed to the $20 he got it for up there. So I would go in once or twice a month, like I said, pick up this ammo, stockpile it at a friend's house in a safe, and just keep it there until I graduated from college. One day I'm standing there, he's out of the ammo, I'm just looking around his shop, and I decide to ask him about the box of junk he has behind his counter. It's been sitting there for a few months, and I'm curious, like, hey, what's up with that box you got back there? Oh, that's junk people have come and I bought for like $3 or $4 each. You mind if I take a look through it? Yeah, man, but I doubt you're going to find anything worth anything in there. So I start looking through, and he's got this nice little dual hunting knife kit from like Solingen, Germany, or Solingen, I can't pronounce the name. But it's almost like the old case fixed blade hunters, if you're familiar with those from back in the day. He's got a couple of case knives, a Winchester box set that has like the slip joint, the locking, and the fixed blade. And down at the very bottom, I find a box, a Kershaw box. And I'm like, what's this? Open it up, and it's a brand new Kershaw Leek exactly like this. And I ask him, how much do you want for that? I don't know, man. What's the price on the end of it? $50. Give me $5 and I'll get rid of it for you since you've been such a good customer. I'm not even lying when I tell you I slapped that $5 down so fast I probably would have put my fist through the glass counter. I just couldn't believe the fantastic deal I got on this thing. This Kershaw Leek was in absolutely brand new condition, even had the original owner's manual and warranty info with it in the box. The only thing wrong with it was the seal had been broken where the price tag was. Other than that, this thing was pristine for $5, and I walked away with it. Now, granted, this isn't the same copy. One of the things you'll notice about this Iron Wings series is the reason I'll never get rid of these again is because I've already gotten rid of most of them, unfortunately, either through some accident that caused the original to break, or through the fact that I was a broke guy once I got out of the Army and needed to sell some stuff, and these knives were one of the quickest things to sell because out in Kentucky, people are always looking for either pocket knives or new hunting knives. So, once I got out of college, I was looking for a job, didn't have any form of income, and I had a bill come due for a parking ticket or something. I can't remember what it was, and I needed to get about 200 bucks quick. So I took a large portion of my collection I had at the time, including my original Kershaw Leek, and I sold it for $200 at a local pawn shop that went out of business like 3 weeks later, so I couldn't get any of my knives back. Um, so I went online and I've been rebuilding my collection ever since. With one of them that I can't seem to replace is a Buck 101 with charcoal bone grips. But anyway, back on this knife, there's not a whole lot, again, to say about the Kershaw Leek. It's just kind of one of those standard knives that everyone in the knife community has owned because it has kind of become ubiquitous with its design, and it's what made Ken Onion really get famous. It's an absolutely fantastic blade. The tip is almost like a sewing needle. The blade is great for opening boxes. This is just something that almost any warehouse worker, you ask them, do you have a knife? They'll either produce one of those folding box cutters or they'll produce this. And for good reason. The blade comes razor sharp out of the box. The tip is fantastic for almost anything you'd need to get into. The only downside is with it being such a thin blade, such a fine edge, that it takes damage fairly easily, but given that it's a decent quality steel, you shouldn't have too much worry about that. It also, interesting tidbit, comes with a blade lock, so you don't accidentally deploy it in your pocket or any other time you're using it and putting it away. So, would I recommend this knife to any average user? Yeah, I'd say so. The price of $50 is pretty high to me for what it is, but honestly, if you find a good deal on it in a used pawn shop or, find one in a junk drawer for $5 at a gun shop, pick it up. It's just a neat little knife. It's something that's really sharp. It comes great. It's great quality control from Kershaw still. There's not a whole lot to say about it other than just me telling my story about how I got it and it just being a pretty unique little deal and situation it found itself in. I haven't used this a whole lot because I find it doesn't really stand up to my everyday needs, but yeah, it's a fine knife and it works it well for what you need it to, honestly. I'd say this would probably work really well in my mind as a tackle box knife. The tip would be really good for getting into a fish's stomach. The edge being so straight would work well for your scaling or your skinning needs or filleting. I think this would be a great folding tackle box knife instead of your usual fillet knife. So, yeah, I'd say get it. I think it's an interesting blade design. It stood the test of time, and there's a reason why it's still produced, I think, almost 20 years after it was introduced to the market. So, yeah, pick one up. Other than that, if you enjoyed the video, I know I don't have a whole lot to say about the knife itself. This series is more about me telling my personal connection about why I'll never get rid of these. And, yeah, I just appreciate you watching. I hope you like, share, and subscribe, and go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this knife. Do you think it's something you'd pick up at that price? Do you think it was basically a steal? Other than that, thank you for watching. This is Iron Wings 3187 signing off.